Right now, a low pressure system is developing around the Arizona, New Mexico area, and this storm is expected to intensify as we continue to move forward. If we were to take a look at the latest depiction of the GFS model, we do see that this low pressure system will encounter an unstable environment right around the southern Midwest. We're going to see a warmer amount of air just to the east of this low pressure system, and of course, a lot of cold air just to the west of this low pressure system, and that's going to allow this storm to intensify, for the convection to get a little bit stronger as this continues to head further eastward, and eventually we will see heavy snowfall throughout the western portion of Texas and Oklahoma by tomorrow, by around the midday of Tuesday. So you need to pay very close attention to this in Oklahoma and northern Texas, because it is likely at this point you will experience very heavy snowfall associated with this low pressure system. And the GFS model is a little bit more stronger when it comes to bringing a heavier amount of snowfall accumulation than the European model at this point. We need to see if this holds up. The European model has been the more accurate model this winter, including for this snowstorm. So I'd lean a little bit more to European model snowfall forecast than a GFS model, but we can't completely disregard the GFS model either, especially since the two forecast models are in very high agreement with each other regarding the trajectory and where exactly the heaviest snow will fall. And then by Wednesday morning, we do see that the snow will eventually move into Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, as well as Arkansas. You should experience the heaviest snowfall right around Wednesday morning, and moving forward by the time we approach the Wednesday around noon time, we do see that the snow moves into the Ohio River Valley, and we still see a very heavy snowfall over St. Louis at this time, as I wouldn't say the snow will move just to the east of St. Louis till probably the afternoon time on Wednesday. So this will be a long duration event, and many of these areas should expect anywhere from 6 to 12 to 3 to 6 inches of snow. So you need to at least stay very prepared for this event, because it's going to be very significant for many people around the Ohio River Valley, as well as eventually the Northeast, where we do see that by the later portion of Wednesday, the snow will eventually move into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York, and we still do see very heavy snowfall right around the northern Midwest, which includes Detroit, Cleveland, Indiana. We still see very heavy snowfall on the northwestern portion of this low pressure system, and we see the temperatures just cold enough in the northeast for the precipitation to fall in the form of snowfall. So as a result, we're seeing a little bit more. So we're seeing the snowfall move a little bit further southward into New York City and into Philadelphia, where you're likely going to experience at least a few flurries before eventually it changes over to rain. I don't necessarily expect snowfall accumulation in New York City and Philadelphia, but you should at least experience some snowfall before it changes over to rain. But northwestern New Jersey and most of northern New Jersey, by the way, should experience accumulating snowfall, probably between 1 to 3 to 3 to 6 inches of snow. And then of course Boston, you will later get involved with heavy snowfall. I'd say maybe around 1 to 3 inches of snow in Boston as well. So you want to pay very close attention to that into the later time on Wednesday into early Thursday for the Boston metropolitan area, as well as Massachusetts, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. You need to pay very close attention to this, and the wind should be a little bit strong as well. The low pressure system will have a millibar pressure that's centered right around 997 millibars. So while it isn't necessarily extremely intense, it is at least intense enough to bring a little bit of gusty winds associated with this storm, especially since there's such a highly unstable environment located along the east coast as a result of this ridge, and of course this very significant jet stream dip just to the west of this low pressure system. So you should expect a little bit of gusty winds, but I wouldn't necessarily expect much when it comes to wind. Mostly snow will be the biggest impact. And then of course, after this low pressure system moves just to the northeast, we should see a very significant jet stream dip just to the west of the low pressure system. So temperatures will be much colder than average, and we should see a clipper system move along this jet stream and could bring enhanced possibility of snowfall in the northern Midwest and the Northeast. I'll keep you guys updated regarding this clipper system and more low pressure systems that are forecasted to move into the eastern half of the United States more in the future once we do get more certainty with those storm systems. But at this point, for this storm system we're taking a look at right now, the certainty is very high. In the areas where your forecast to receive snowfall, you should expect snowfall, as it's very unlikely the forecast will change so much to where you won't experience any snowfall, as it's likely at this point you will experience impacts if you're under the trajectory of this low pressure system. So you need to stay prepared for that. Now let's take a look at the European model. So the European model is showing a very similar forecast at this time. If we were to continue to move forward with the European model's depiction of this storm system, we do see very heavy snowfall around the western portion of Texas, as well as Oklahoma. You should expect heavy snowfall. And then we do see a little bit further southward. You also need to pay close attention to a high amount of thunderstorm activity occurring right around Houston and Dallas. So you want to pay close attention to that, as there's that possibility of flash flooding in those areas. And moving forward, the snow will eventually move into St. Louis, like I said, around the early time on Wednesday. Should last until Wednesday afternoon, and the snow will eventually move into the northeast by the midday on Wednesday. I'd say around Wednesday afternoon as well, so make sure to pay very close attention to that. And moving forward, we do see that snow will move into Boston around the same time period. So the European model, very similar forecast trajectory as a GFS model, so certainty is very high with the storm system. Now let's take a look at the snowfall accumulation forecast from both of the computer models. So here's the European model's forecast when it comes to snowfall accumulation. We do see that a large area of the eastern half of the United States would experience 6 to 12 inches of snow in the European model scenario, where we do see Ohio, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and the southern portion of St. Louis, or the region just south of St. Louis, experiencing 6 to 12 inches of snow. The northwestern portion of New Jersey would get involved with over 6 inches of snow. But we need to keep in mind that this assumes that 1 inch of rain equates to 10 inches of snowfall, and that's always not necessarily the case, because of course it really all depends on the temperature, because the higher the temperature is, the more moisture each snowflake will hold. So as a result, we would see less snowfall for 1 inch of precipitable rainfall. And so I will say that the snowfall will be a little bit less than what you see here, at least the snowfall forecast. But for the most part, the European model is right around the ballpark when it comes to the total snowfall accumulation you should expect. So all throughout the Northeast and a large portion of the Midwest, you should expect 6 to 12 to 36 inches of snow. The GFS model is showing a very similar forecast. However, the GFS model does expect heavier snowfall in a larger area than what the European model expects, where a GFS model expects over a foot of snow in Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, as well as portions of Oklahoma and Texas. But I lean more to the European model, mainly due to the fact that it's been more correct with the past winter storms this winter, as well as this specific winter storm. So I do expect the snowfall totals will be lower than this, but don't be surprised if we do see some localized areas where you could experience over a foot of snow in this area of snowfall. And then northeast, of course, you should expect a large area of 3 to 6 inches of snow. This includes Boston, Connecticut, portions of upstate New York, at least southern portions, as well as a large portion of Pennsylvania, and even northern New Jersey could get involved with some snowfall. So here's a futurecast radar to show you guys when you should expect the heaviest snowfall. We do see that by Tuesday at around the morning time in Oklahoma City, you should expect some snowfall. You could get some rain mixing in, but expect maybe around 1 to 3 to 3 to 6 inches of snow around the Oklahoma City area. And then we do see that northern Texas should get involved with the snowfall very early on Tuesday during the overnight hours. So if you're around Amarillo, you need to pay very close attention to that. And then northwestern Arkansas as well, you could experience snowfall as early as Tuesday afternoon and extending into Wednesday morning. And then St. Louis, the snowfall should arrive, I'd say, around the very early morning time on Wednesday. And then moving forward, as this storm continues to head further northeastward, Cleveland should expect the snow very early on Wednesday, as well as Chicago. And then the northern portion of New Jersey and southern portion of upstate New York should experience snowfall right around the midday on Wednesday. So make sure to pay very close attention to that all throughout the Midwest and Northeast. So here's my snowfall accumulation forecast when it comes to this upcoming snowstorm. Pretty much the same as yesterday. We do see a large area of 6 to 12 inches of snow for much of the northern Northeast, as well as a large portion of the Midwest. But we also do see many major cities such as Detroit, Cleveland, and even St. Louis get involved with 3 to 6 inches of snow, as well as Oklahoma City. So you want to pay very close attention to that. And Boston as well could get involved with 3 to 6 inches of snow. Hartford as well, Albany. So this will be a very impactful storm for millions of Americans, and you want to make sure to take the right precautions and don't go out unless it's an extreme emergency if you see a very heavy snowfall falling outside. So make sure to pay very close attention to that. But I thank you guys for watching.